Welcome to another edition of the Mile High Real Estate Spotlight Podcast. And today, I am so excited. I feel like I've been reunited. I've had Beth Owens here on online with me. And as we were talking in whatever we call it, the green room or the beforehand, realized we worked at the same high school together at the same time. And just, thinking about our lives and what Colorado's has been able to do. She has been doing real estate for since before there was the internet. And I've done a couple podcasts, and we had Evan was on, who said that he thought that text messaging was old school. And so we, I both know, no, text messaging is not at least in our world, text messaging is not old school. Like, she remembers applications where you had to press really hard on an application to get it to go through the carbon. Some of you guys don't even know what carbon is. There wasn't actual sheets of carbon at that time, but the go through papers where you make 4 copies. There was no doing everything on the computer. But what was happening back then was relationship, and I think it's still true today. How important relationship is in a transaction. We have this all this new technology with artificial intelligence and computers that run as fast as they can. We have Zillow. We have, the ability to look up properties and find everything yourself. But the one thing that the computers can't do is build relationships. The one thing that the computers aren't able to do is to look into the heart and to the soul of people and say, these are your goals. These are what you love. These are the things that you would like. Let us help you find that. And so today, as we talk with Beth, and I'm so excited she's on, because if success leaves clues, here are some clues to follow. Here are some things that we can do as in her case, a real estate agent, or in my case, a lender, to help you to be able to get what you want. And so, Beth, thank you for being on today. I so appreciate our time that we got to spend together and being able to do this together. And hopefully we'll get to do a few more of these. But if you can kind of first just tell people how to get a hold of you, because I want them to be able to call you. And then we'll go into your story a little bit. I know, but I want everybody else who's watching and listening to know it. So go ahead.
Sounds good. I'm a realtor with Your Castle Real Estate, and the best way to reach me is my cell phone. Call, text. You can also email me. My number is 303 550 2941. And my email is beth@bethbakerowens.com. So you've got my name there on the screen, no spaces, beth@bethbakerowens.com. So email or text or call. Would love to meet any of you. It's more fun to meet in person, but can't always do that. So we have other tools and toys to use. So Thank you, Brian, for the opportunity to get to know you better and what you're doing. This is great.
Absolutely. Let's dig in a little bit. Kind of tell us about how you got involved. I know you were a teacher for a while. And so that had to transition at some point into the real estate world. So maybe kind of talk about a little bit about that process of what made you think that this would be a good place to be where you could help people.
Okay. It's not a very unusual situation, but I'm going to go way back to when I'm a little girl,
Okay.
maybe a year old. And Daddy would come home and we would sit on the big brown chair and we'd read the Wall Street Journal together.
Really? Okay.
And I knew that I was going to be a businesswoman when I grew up, and I was going to have my MBA because that was something important, not NBA, because I'm not talented enough for that kind of thing,
Okay.
but more of an MBA. And
Okay.
so fast forward, we have me working at Overland, where actually you and I met back in the 90s, and I was finally getting my MBA. I had 3 little kids under 5. I was working full time, and I was going to school full time to get my master's. And I realized that I wasn't going to be able to pay off my student loans
Hmm.
in a timely fashion. I'd be older than I am now and still not have them paid off with that little increment that I was going to get.
Hmm.
And I thought, oh, this is not a good business decision. But it wasn't. It was a passion decision, right,
Hmm.
Brian? I wanted to make a difference. And so I'm getting close to the end of my MBA classes. I'm listening to all these people who are going to be doing this and that. I'm going,
Mhm.
oh, wow. Okay. How am I going to do this? I don't know. And my husband, Kent, said, join me in real estate. And I said, I think you're messed up
Mhm.
because you've been doing this 7 years. You've not had a vacation day at all. We have months with no income. We have no insurance. We have no retirement from you. Why would a family of five voluntarily make the business decision to go be 100% commission? I said, I think it's cracked. I spent 9 months finishing up my last school year at
Mhm.
Overland, and he was right. Don't tell him. Shh.
Okay. I love it.
Because it really was the best fit. I looked at all kinds of things. And Brian, I decided that real estate, joining him in real estate, was probably the best fit possible. Yeah, here we are, just a few decades later,
Mhm.
and it's been good. We've been able to support our family and do all kinds of things with our kids as they were growing up. They're all grown up now. It's been great. It's been
Oh,
a
that's
good career. But oh, baby, not what I was expecting.
Mhm.
So there you go. It was a transition that started with passion, ended up being something entirely different from anything I expected,
Mhm.
and it's blossomed. It's a beautiful career.
Wow. And so how do you know, I know you were a chemistry teacher, and as a chemistry teacher, we think that's all left brain science, you got a lab coat on, you're telling people, you're just thinking a different way. And then
Yeah,
you get over to the real estate where we kind of think of that as the emotional side of people trying to decide what colors do I like, or what I like aesthetically, or how do those two come together for you? How did that work in your world? Because you're obviously very successful at it, so
good
there had to be something great in there.
good question. When I went into real estate, I realized that I did not understand sales.
Hmm.
Give me numbers, give me formulas. I was good with the kids, I was good with people, so those parts were still fine. Sales part? Oh, baby, I wasn't so sure about that. So I started learning from Mike Ferry.
Okay.
This is when Tom he was not grown up yet.
Okay.
Okay,
Little
so
dude.
he was a little dude. We're a medium-sized dude
Yeah.
anyway. And so I started learning about sales through Mike Ferry. Now, Mike Ferry has a pretty hard approach on sales. And so that's how I cut my teeth,
Okay.
was on his approach, which was not necessarily my comfort zone. I,
Hmm.
I can be very cut and dry. There are
Hmm.
certain things that are just facts, and this is what we have to deal with. But I also have a tender heart, and so his approach was a very big learning curve for me. And I continued then to learn all the way through and figure out how do you balance the art and the science that
Hmm.
go with the sales and real estate. So it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, cool. Well, what do you think your favorite part about being a real estate agent is? What of all the things that, and I know for a lot of people, it's just to see that person get into their home and that kind of stuff. But there might be a story behind one of them that just makes it. This is why I do this, and I've been doing it for 20 years because you don't spend the amount of time you do on something and not love it.
I think it goes back to why I went into real estate, why I finally said this is probably a good place to be. When we were newly married, my husband and I were close to Overland High School because we had one car and I
Mhm.
had to walk to work. So I was within walking distance of school.
Okay.
And our landlady called me up and said, you need to move or buy the townhome. It was a different market than today.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, I think we need a lender and a realtor and some things like that. She said, no, well, I'll take care of you. Yeah, she took us.
Wow.
And it was at a time when the market was dipping. Uh, Several things happened, but they ended up where we ended up behind. financially for several years until we had enough value in the property that we weren't upside down anymore.
Okay.
Not a good place to start.
Hmm.
And so our fortunes would have been different if I'd said, no, I'm going to do something different. But I had said yes. It ended up being a good investment. 13 years later or so, we did make money and we were able to sell for a profit and the like. And we had refinanced a few times. Thank
Hmm.
goodness interest rates went down from double digits to
No.
high single digits, and we were delighted. 9 is a great interest rate.
Isn't that crazy?
You go from
Imagine that.
high double digits to 9, you're going,
Yeah,
this is great.
this is
So
awesome.
at that point, I realized that our lives would have been different
Hmm.
in so many ways. And it can make generational wealth if you can find yourself in a real estate transaction where you can build equity,
Hmm.
have the equity increase so that then you're able to have a much better net worth.
Hmm.
It's generational wealth, right?
Yes, it is. It is. It is.
So that really is what struck me
Hmm.
as important, and it continues to this day. Whether I'm dealing with a first-time home buyer, they're just beginning to figure out how they can make it work, or it's a move up and they're trying to figure out, do I keep this as a rental or do I sell it and use the equity for the new home?
Hmm.
Or investment properties or portfolios, or my kids buying a house. How do we do it? Or mom has to move because things have happened. And how do we handle that situation? It has blossomed to be lovely.
I mean, what do you think makes you an exceptional agent? Your superpower. What is it that you do that maybe other real estate agents don't do, or some of them do, but you just do it better, or that keeps people coming back to you? What are some of those things, or that one or two things that you do?
One of the things I've worked with, Brian, is listening. You've got two ears and one mouth. And so I've worked hard to try and hear better, to understand
Hmm.
what's being said, what's not being said, how it might fit in the world around. So the listening is real important. About 7 years ago, the Betcher Foundation decided that they wanted to have a cadre of people who are coaches. And so I went through coaches training, and I'm a certified coach with the ICF.
Hmm.
So I have both the listening and I have a coaching approach to what I do, which means that the answers are in my client. It's not me. The answers are in my client. Make sure that they have the information they need, the support they need to make the good decision. It's a whole different approach. It's not a normal sales approach.
Yeah, no, you just brought something to me that I'd never even thought about. I've been coaching track for 35 years now. I've coached Olympians, I've coached a gold medalist, I've coached a whole bunch of state track and field, high school champions. And I think I take that approach to life is, how do you walk somebody from where they're at and not knowing to being really good at something and knowing pretty well. Uh, and through a transaction, I see how important that could be. It's not just the relationship, yeah, you like me, but how can I take you from, like you said, listening to where I'm at to what I really want. And I think
Mhm.
that if you're able to provide that for people, what they really want, because they don't really know what they want, right? I mean, are there times that you can remember where you've brought somebody into a home and they've given you a list of everything that they believe they want, and then you help them find what they really want? Is that happened a few times, or?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
There's the disparaging comment that buyers are liars. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's not the case.
No, no.
The case is that they're learning what's available
Mhm.
and they're learning what's important. Two different things. And
Wow.
then they have to put it together. So that is, it's huge. And the other thing about a coach is a coach sees what you could do, where you could grow.
Potential. Yeah.
It's the potential, and encourages you. but also holds up a mirror and says, okay, this is what I see. What do you see?
Wow, that is so cool. Maybe expand a little bit on that. I love what you said about important and what I want. Maybe expand. What are some things that people that you have to help them show that this is important and it needs to be important to you? Are there some things you can think of in top of mind that you know are consistent? I guess that these are important, or is it just everybody has different things that are super important?
I think one of the basic pieces is that for all of us, when you purchase, you want to have it's about a place.
Hmm.
So it's understanding the place. What are the almost a SWOT analysis, if you'll pardon the MBA
Okay,
part,
there we go.
strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, right?
Mhm.
So you can compare homes kind of in that way.
Yeah.
And then the other piece is more affective. It's what is the lifestyle that I'd like to have?
Hmm.
How would I like to live? It may not be how I live now, but how would I like to live? If I have a buyer who's wanted to have a dog, we're talking dog, right? They want to have a dog. And so they don't have a dog yet, but they're going to be walking the dog in the neighborhood. So borrow your friend and your friend's dog and walk in the neighborhood. How does it work? Consider how the yard would be or whatever, right? Would
Hmm.
be with the dog. What would life be like for you? And so that's the lifestyle piece where you do envisioning, there's a little grounding, there's some reality, there's, a little bit about timing. Those pieces kind of all go together. And so is it the same for everybody? Not necessarily,
Yeah.
but it's like with loans, right?
Hmm.
There's certain parameters that have to be met because we're dealing with real estate. It
Hmm.
has real
Yeah.
requirements, right?
Yeah.
But there are many ways to affect a transaction and make it work.
Yeah. Some of the things you're saying are just so important as I think of the coaching. Like, when I think of your story of you guys having one car and then you have to go to work and he has to go to work. Well, yeah, it's important that you find a place that allows that to work,
Uh-huh.
so other things don't, and it's, you know, you think of schools where, people need to be where, if they got 5 kids or 4 kids that are all at school age, probably need to be in proximity, to a school so they can go to events and all the things that happen as part of the education, but at the same time, what type of lifestyle do people want?
Mhm.
you know
Yeah.
and you have real estate agents sometimes that will take people, they're getting their first home and they take them to start looking at model homes that are out in southeast Aurora that are at $1 million, and you go, hello, the realistic part of that is now you've kind of let people down because now they're comparing every place you're showing them to this $1 million home that's out there, which I guess you want to be able to dream, but there's step, right? I mean,
Well, and and so that's where you have some of the science
hmm,
that goes with the art.
yeah,
For some people, they're dreamers, right?
hmm,
They have to see where they'd like to be eventually to
hmm,
start getting there. For
hmm,
other people, not being there now is too upsetting,
hmm.
not the way for them to get motivated to work through whatever they have to.
That's awesome.
And that's why it's always important to have the buyers talk with the lender and maybe talk to a couple of lenders, find who you're comfortable
Hmm.
sharing all those financial things that you may or may not even like to fess up to anybody about, right? They're
Yeah.
kind of private. It's like, what color underwear are you wearing today?
Oh yeah. Sometimes I feel like I'm asking for blood type. I mean, it gets to like I don't want to ask you this, but the lender is asking me. Like I had a couple that was just they sold their house here. We're moving to Arizona,
Mm.
and so last week I'm having to ask them. The lender wants to know why you're moving, and they're like, it's none of their business why we're moving. I get it if you need your job to be able to say this is why I have to show that I have a job there, but
Yeah.
they're retired. They don't have, their income is already set. We're doing a reverse mortgage. There's not even a payment. So why does it matter? where they want to move, and they're like, well, it's none of their business. And now I'm telling the lender, they say it's none of your business, and they're like, well, it's our money, so it's going to be our business. And then having to play that in between, that conversation is just, yeah, it is. It can be that way.
Yeah, and so it's a matter of saying, okay, the lender's going to handle these pieces, and having a good enough relationship with the lender to trust
Mm-hmm.
that it'll be taken care of with care and competency both for the buyer. I had somebody say, well, I always knew what the interest rates were and how much the mortgage insurance was going to be and all that. I said, yeah, and then they changed the formulas and it's not the same
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
Yeah.
So why don't you partner up and have teammates who
Mm-hmm.
specialize in the parts so you guys can provide an awesome experience?
Yes. Oh, that's so cool. What can it do? So I call up Beth and I say, Beth, I want to get a house, and I've never done this before, and I'm kind of scared. What can they expect from you? What is it that they can expect that they're going to get when they come to that question with you and start that process?
Good question. And this happened this weekend.
Oh,
I
okay.
get I got a text from the son of some old friends. And I've worked with the family for years and they know what I do and how to do it. This is their son and he's wanting to make those steps himself. And they said, well, you got to connect with Beth. And I said, okay, let's do this. Let's meet face to face because sometimes it's easier to ask some of those questions that seem, I don't know, might be embarrassing,
Mhm.
but shouldn't have to be, right? So we'll do it face to face and invite the family. If the family's involved, then have the family there. If the family's not involved, don't have the family there, right?
Mhm.
So you have a gathering and I bring a notebook. And it's in my case, it's a 3-ring binder because we're going to be adding to it as we go through the process. And I gave the young man the binder and he said, well, Beth, I don't even know what this is. I said, well, of course not. We're going to go through this together. Not a
I
problem.
love it.
And he said, but there are tabs with nothing behind them. I said, of course not. You're not done with the process.
Mhm.
And he said, well, I might not even work with you. I said, of course not. This gives you a start.
This is where we start.
We just have to have a start. So we went through the different sections, went through and answered his questions. And then, of course, mom and dad had questions, and his sister had questions because it was a family thing.
Mhm.
And we got, I think, pretty good understanding of kind of big picture, where are we going? How much money might I need? What's the process? And I said, and you can come back here to this anytime. You can call me or email me. I said, if you call in the middle of the night, that's not good
Mhm.
because I'll be sure that my daughter has had something awful happen or one of my kids or grandkids has had something awful happen. Don't call me in the middle of the night. So call me during business hours. It's like, well, yeah. I said, well, no, not always
No,
you
no,
can.
no, no. Yeah, exactly. Uh, Thinking
And
of
so
11 o'clock call I got last night.
totally, I get it.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of one of those things where we meet and we kind of set up some parameters and
Mhm.
have tools. And then I'll be in touch regularly to say, okay, where are you with what we talked about? Have you had any thoughts change? Have you had anybody suggest something that you kind of go, oh my gosh, really? And because that'll happen, right?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
when you let people know that you're thinking about buying a house, it's almost like being pregnant in my case, where you're hanging out here and everybody sees that you're pregnant. There's no way
Mhm.
to avoid it.
Mhm.
And then they start not only touching your tummy, but telling you things that you never wanted to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my
And you have
gosh.
to say, thank you for sharing. And
Oh,
then
I love it.
and then privately figure out if it's even worth consideration or not. Because it
Mhm.
might be, or it might not be, but it's that kind of thing. So what do? I meet with a person or the people and I say, here's a start. Let's go through what is important. what's important to you, what's the process. And then from there, we'll put together a game plan, tailored. That's where the coaching piece comes in. You don't coach every track person exactly the same.
Oh no, none of them the same
Yeah,
because they're all different. Yeah.
yeah, they're all different. Even if you're dealing with sprinters that day,
Yeah.
it's
Maybe the same
still,
workouts, but the conversations you have are way different.
yeah.
Way different. Wow.
So that's art and science.
Yes. Oh man, I love it. And just, I'm just, as you're talking, I'm thinking through all the wonderful things. Maybe we can, we're getting towards the end here, but maybe you can give us one really good client story of, somebody you took, whether it was a first time home buyer or a senior you helped, that just, you over the couple of decades that something that you remember all the time because it was such a, whether it was hard or easy or, I start thinking about my assumption is going to be a situation where it was stressful. And what I want to hear through that is, I guess, how did you help that person get through this stressful situation? Because buying a home shouldn't be stressful, but
Oh,
it can be one of the most stressful things that person does in their life, right?
it's right up there. It's right up there with death and marriage
Yeah, yeah,
and birth and all those biggies.
yeah.
The person who comes to mind is still a very dear friend.
Okay.
And when I met her, her home had not sold. It was an expired listing.
Hmm.
And she was so frustrated. She had just lost her third husband. She had, I don't know, 3 birds and 4 cats and 6 dogs. I don't know. She had a menagerie. Can we just say that?
Hmm. Yeah.
She had a menagerie. And um, she hadn't been served well when she'd listed her house, and that's why it had expired. So I met with her and I said, well, what do you want to do? And we worked through that. And we figured out that she really needed to go from Parker to somewhere closer to where she was working. She had like 3 more years before she was going to retire. And she wanted to make sure she stayed everything on one level because, as you know, for seniors, sometimes stairs become an issue. She wanted to still be able to deal with pets and all those kinds of things. So we got her home listed, trimmed down the herd a little bit, and or the menagerie a little bit, and then started looking for where she was going to go. And we had a date that she had to be out of her house because that's how it goes, right? You sell and then you have to move. That's kind of how it is, especially if somebody's going to live there for their own home. And so we kept looking, and each home that we'd look at, we'd get under contract and something would happen. The seller would say, I'm not selling, or there would be an inspection issue or whatever. And we're getting closer and closer to the deadline. But she didn't wig out. Unlike so many of my clients who would freak out, she didn't freak out. And I said, how can you be joyful in this moment? What are you doing? She said, well, God's in control.
Hmm.
I'm not. She said, I will do the best I can with what I have. I trust you to work together with me to make things happen. And she said, he's charge. He's in
Hmm.
charge. And so it will work out, even if you and I can't see it right now. And sure enough, it did. And she ended up exactly where she needed to be a few years down the road. No way you or I would have known that. No way she knew that.
Hmm.
But those other properties that we tried to secure for her would not have given her what she needed later in the home that she ended up buying. And so what I learned is a lighter hand on the steering wheel works better because I'm not really driving.
Not really driving. I love that analogy. Oh wow, thank you for that. Wow, that is neat. That is neat. Maybe you can just tell everybody one more time how to get a hold of you. Oh man, I can't wait to send people to you. This is so cool. Yeah, how to get a hold of you, and then any other closing thoughts that you'd like to share with the
Sure,
group or the people here. That'd be
sure.
awesome.
My name is Beth Baker Owens. My students called me Babbo because that way they could use all of my names, including my middle
Okay.
name. Unlike my mother, when she said them all, I was in trouble, but you can call me Babbo or Beth Baker Owens. I'm at 303-550-2941. Or if you prefer email, that'd be Beth at BethBakerOwens with an S.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Gotcha. Any closing thoughts that you'd like to share?
Yeah. If you can dream it, you can probably make it reality.
That's great. Well, thank you, Beth. Like I said, it has been an honor and just a privilege to be able to talk with you today. For those of you who are listening, I just want to remind you that you can do this. You know, whether it's the first time you buy a house, or it's you're moving up in status, or you're a senior who's thinking maybe a reverse mortgage or something like that is a possibility. Whatever it is, you can do it. You deserve it. There are so many. One of the things that's been incredible about this country is it allows all of us who are part of it, that are, here, to be able to realize some of our dreams. As she said, if you can dream it, right? And then the third thing is, let us help you. This is something that not everybody gets to do every day, all day in their lifetime. And it's going to be probably one of the biggest purchases that you make, if not one of 4 or 5 that you'll make in your lifetime. And to think that you can be up to date and know what's going on and the trends and all that kind of stuff. There are some times where somebody who is in it, on the thick of it all the time, can at least help you, guide you down your path. And I know we have all this technology in our lives that say, hey, you can just do it through technology. And what I'm saying is, even the technology hasn't caught up with the expertise of the folks that that are here, or that we talk to in this podcast all the time. So thank you for being part of another great edition of the Mile High Real Estate Spotlight broadcast. I'm Brian, I'm your host, and I can't wait to help you in any way that I can. And Beth, again, thank you for being on. We look forward to seeing you at the next episode.
Thanks. Bye for now.
All right. This is Brian Arnold, and if you are listening to this part, you've just watched one of our episodes of the Mile High Real Estate Spotlight, where we've just talked to one of the best of the best. And I want to thank whichever guest that was here. They are phenomenal. They are amazing. They are the top of the top, the best of the best that are in our industry, that are here with us today. And so I encourage you to please call them, pick their brains. They work for you. They enjoy working for you. They are incredibly good at it. And so I want to make sure that you give them a call. So whoever you listen to, whichever one you saw that you were there, please do that. The other thing is, everyone deserves a home. Everyone deserves a home. I say that at the end of my show. You deserve it. Let us help you do it. My goal is to make sure that we see homeownership. It just sickens me to see apartment complexes continue to go up, because I know those are people who haven't been able to make the call or figure out a plan. So let us help put that plan together for you. I have some websites that allow you to do that, and I'll put those in the bottom, but please do. I am a lender. I do work in the lending space. If you do not already have somebody who's pre-qualified you, I would love to be able to have that opportunity to earn your business and qualify you. My number is 720-682-2223. That's 720-682-2223. Give me a call anytime, and I would love to be able to help you with that. We also do living trust. And so when we think about an estate, to try to avoid probate and make sure that doesn't happen. So whether it's you, if you own a home, and you should have a living trust. And I will say that everyone not just deserves it, everyone needs a living trust if they own a home. And then finally, just wanted to thank you for watching these episodes. And so please tune into more. Would love for you to see and be able to shop around. So thank you for doing that. Again, I want to make sure that you know that you can do this. You deserve this. And let us help you make it happen. You guys have an awesome, wonderful, awestruck, incredible day today.